tried recording, and after the last one and doing the countdown sound again, which I'm not going to do, my brain, I was like hovering over the record button, thinking to myself, think of a jingle, think of a jingle, think of a jingle, and all I could come up with was the Game of Thrones, ding ding digga ding ding digga ding ding digga ding ding, and that was like going round and round. But then, do you ever get like a tune and you can't physically stop it, and it's like going, and I'm like, whoa. Anyway, hi, welcome.
Hi.
I'm not quitting it off.
Welcome to Know You Matter.
Yeah, welcome to Know You Matter. I am Lauren.
I'm Jacqueline.
We are daughter
And mother.
Get that right, the right way around this time. And we like to talk about knowing you matter in any way, shape, or form. How do we know we matter? How can we help you maybe rethink things so that you know you matter? Because that's what we believe the world needs.
Yeah, how can we treat each other like we matter?
Oh.
In fact, that's what's needed now more than ever.
Yeah.
More than ever is that actually we see, well, because there's a lot of research going into this, how we are disconnecting from each other. We're showing less compassion and empathy for people around us, and actually that's what needs to change, in my opinion.
I agree.
What needs to change.
And all of this is really random. So I can't remember, but the guy who did it was a really, he was like this like professor with all of this experience in like behavioural stuff, and he looked at really horrendous like scenarios across entire course of human history, the way people had behaved and the outcomes of those scenarios and all that kind of stuff. And they got him to do like a simulation of like who would survive in a zombie apocalypse. So if there was genuinely an apocalypse in the world, like The Walking Dead and all that kind of stuff, who would survive? I know, don't, because Dave hates it, because I'm always like, I'm just going to drive myself off a cliff. I'm not interested in living through that. Anyway, the point is though, because, so my husband's a gamer, he plays Call of Duty, all that kind of stuff, him and his friends absolutely 100% believe that they would survive the longest if we were in a zombie apocalypse, because they think they could. He's never shot a gun in his life, but he thinks he could shoot a gun, like, and kill zombies, whatever. But this guy, this professor of everything, did an analysis, and the commonality between all communities that survive through difficult things, what is it?
Empathy?
Compassion.
Yeah.
Because people who put other people's needs first, so people who make sure...
Understanding.
Yeah, to carry the people with the broken legs, to do all of these kinds of things, to make sure that everyone's got food, to share the wealth instead of hoarding the wealth. Like, those peoples live longer. They just do. And he was like, everybody thinks that it's going to be the people who can hunt, or the people who can this, or it's not. It's the people who can care. Yeah, the people whose humanity comes first. Like, that's what happens.
An interesting fact is, if you watch any, and I don't, just so you know, I'm not into that kind of program. Or I'm trying to think of the one, The Walking Dead, isn't it? And
I loved The Walking Dead until it hit a point and it got so. There was one thing, and if you'll know, I'll just say the pumpkin. You'll know what I mean by the pumpkin. And at the start of, I think it's either season 7 or season 8, I watched the episode with the pumpkin and the bat, and couldn't watch anymore. I was like, I'm out. Nah, like. And I don't know what it was about that specifically that got me, but I was just done.
And for everybody like me who is totally oblivious to whatever that is.
Totally oblivious.
I quite like being
all right,
totally
Sarah
oblivious.
Millican.
All right. But you see the communities that build, how people, yes, you have the lone hunters, or
and
the
when
people,
does it go wrong?
Actually.
When they argue.
Yeah.
When they decide that one of them needs more land or more anything. That's the...
Anyway, Lauren.
Yeah, sorry. Not try and wind myself up. But yes, the humanity of it.
I'm not sure how, with the conversation that we thought we were going to have, we started to have a conversation about Walking Dead and zombies. Not where I thought the conversation was going to go today in the slightest.
No.
You did have a topic that you did want to focus on, though, Lauren.
I do, because we were chatting about what we want to talk about today. And I think this comes up for both of us all of the time. And I kind of had to explain it a little bit, but I want to talk about, this natural urge that we have as humans to blend in. So, like, to not necessarily be the person who speaks out or is different or is perceived as different. And I don't know, like, if this is just me, but the story I told you that I'll tell him. I, like, vividly remember being a kid and seeing certain, specifically other girls that I was growing up with, who just seemed to manage humaning better than me. Like, they didn't argue as often as me. They didn't get called out as often as me. They didn't seem to make mistakes. I'm the kind of person, and you said it actually when we were talking about it, you said the word messy, right? So I'd be the kind of kid who didn't realise that I'd got spaghetti on my shirt. Like, I didn't keep things, like, really, I wasn't really good at keeping things clean. I'm still not. Like, I chew my pen lids. Like, I'm just a kind of messy person, a little bit chaotic. And I perceived these other people as managing life better than me. And, like, I wanted to be them. And then I ended up in this perpetual cycle of trying to be them. So I'd tell myself, I'd go to school and I'd be like, I'm going to act like this person today. So I'm not going to put my hand up. I'm not going to speak out. I'm not going to this. I'm not going to that. And I'd either get so bored that I'd, like, drop myself back in it again, because I do have opinions and emotions.
No shit, Charlotte.
No shit. Or I'd end up, like, burnt out from it, because it's exhausting not saying what you think. And I don't know if it's a neurodivergent thing or I don't know.
We'll call it what you want, performance, masking.
Yeah.
You know, trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And there's something, isn't there? Because, I mean, if we go... Interestingly, that we did talk about The Walking Dead and about communities. You know, human beings have forever lived in communities because it's safer.
Yeah.
You want to be accepted by the community because it was not safe to be on your own and out of the group, because you now had to fend for yourself. You only have to look at the way that animals, you know, will group around each other and you know, the ones that face out so that they can see what's happening to protect each other, you know. So there's, when we have this innate thing within us that we want to be accepted by our families, by our friends, you know, by work, you know, the community as a whole, and yet... We also want to be ourselves, and yet there's a fear in being ourselves. Yeah, because you can, and it's that, it feels like this cycle, doesn't it? That we go around, and there's a couple of things that I know we wanted to talk about, particularly Brene Brown and Gabor Maté and what they say with that as well. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? When you think about being younger.
Yeah, and then how it runs throughout your life. So, like, gosh, I mean, if you don't think this, if you're listening, you're like, I've never wanted to do that, I've never wanted to pretend to be someone I'm not, then will you just reach out and tell me how? Because it's taken me until, like, this stage of my life to realise that I'm doing it. Because I think that's the other thing, is that I've not been aware that that's necessarily happening. Like, I've been aware that I wanted to act like someone else, but I only now can look back and go, oh, it's because I didn't want to be took the piss out of anymore. Because I didn't want to be ashamed of asking questions or made to feel stupid or whatever it was. Like, I'm now going, oh, like, I get why I did it. And one of the things, one of the reasons I'm totally going to drop the business in here, because one of the things I've been working on recently is the main event. And it's, like, the most exciting thing that I've ever built ever. And it feels like it just ties everything together finally for me. And it's, like, where I'll literally walk with a business owner metaphorically into their event. So the idea is, they imagine if they were inviting all of their dream clients to something. Everyone's coming to one thing, one occasion. What is it? What's in your head? What's the first thing that comes up? Is it a party? Is it a conference? Is it a festival? Is it a moonlight walk? Is it climbing a mountain? What is it? What's this event, right? Because then once you get there, you can start to see who's coming, who's invited, who's not invited. There's so much, it's incredible, and I love it. Like, I get so excited. But one of the things about the event that's really important is you. Because this is you're hosting this, right? This is your choice. You're leading this. This is being built from who you are. And then we talk about how you show up. Like, what are you showing up as? What do you want to be like? How do you want to come across to people? All that kind of stuff. And this leans into so many different things, right? Because it helps people with ideal clients, it helps them with their branding, it helps them with their message and all of that. And then I specifically will take it off a specific way if people want to stay and work with me and do messaging and strategy. But you could use this and hand it over to someone who builds brands, because now they hear exactly what you want to build. Like, the fire it gives me to bring people into this. But one of the main things that, we talked about it when we did the podcast about strategy, is just people just not being willing to be themselves and not being willing to talk as themselves.
It's scary.
Yeah, like,
if you've never felt able to be that person.
Yes. And now, seeing for me growing up as this kid who perpetually tried to be other people, You know, in Eat, Pray, Love, when the guy says to Julia Roberts, like, you always become your other half. Like, that's kind of what I saw myself as, actually, when I started to look back and notice it. And it's like, how do you get to a point now where it's shifting? Because obviously for us, it's shifting. For me, it's definitely shifting, realising what I want to show up as, words that I use all the time. Like, not just banging something into ChatGPT and hoping that people like it. Because that isn't what resonates with people. It isn't. And yeah. So I guess my question for you is, did you ever feel like that, as like that you were trying to be something that you weren't? And then how has it changed as you've grown?
I think that's how I lived my life. I think the thing that
that's
I
really
realised...
interesting, because your face when I was talking was like, oh my God, she hasn't actually thought like this. Like, I don't know, I convinced myself you were going to say the opposite. So I feel really relieved now that you're like, yes.
I spent most of my life not thinking it was okay to be me, and that actually, you know, everybody else seemed to have it put together. A bit like you when you were talking about certain people earlier, and, you know, I would look at people and just think, how come I'm not like that? And also that I began to... I'm very good at observing, so that I can see what is it that's okay.
Yes.
And so that... It's funny because when you were talking to me, there was a couple of things. So as a kid, what I experienced at senior school was it was easier to be liked by the teachers and do what they wanted and keep myself away from everybody than face the fear of being rejected because I was a bit different as an 11, 12-year-old. So I was the one that did the running around and, you know, the teachers that needed to do the cover and all of that. I did all of that at school.
Oh, so did I.
At senior school. I wasn't, you know, comfortable. I had friends.
Oh, I don't even think I've pinpointed that about myself.
No, and so there's things like that I realise now that I wanted to fit in and I wanted to belong, but I found it really uncomfortable and you know, fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And I think we've both had a conversation about exploring neurodivergence, and just finding out a little bit more about this, because, you know, as a young girl growing up, I think, you know, I struggled with my weight a little bit, as you do, as you get hormones and, you know, puberty hits and all of that kind of happens. But I had very short hair. I didn't feel like me. It's really interesting when I look back, because I didn't feel like me. Like I needed to, and I wanted. I think it's that. So I didn't feel like me, and then I needed to fit in, but I looked completely different to everybody else. I was just like, what on earth is this? And I can look back now and I can see my fear of rejection, because that's what it is. You know, fear of being isolated, fear of rejection. You know, no one's going to love me. You know, and also pretending to like things that I probably didn't like.
Oh.
And then needing to have time away on my own when I'd done that, because
having to escape from it.
Yeah, escaping from it. So I think, you know, I look at that, this kind of, it's a fascinating thing that was said to me. I was a mum, so I must have been in my 20s, and a friend of mine and her husband, I was at their house. It was just me at this point, and we were sat and we were chatting, and they both kind of just looked at each other and looked at me and went, "You're really quite quiet, aren't you? Like, you're really quite quiet." And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "What did you think?" And they were like, "We just always thought you were this, you know, you came across as wanting to be this party person." But actually, I am somebody that, you know, it's interesting. You've always said to me that you've seen moments where my self-worth shows in how I treat myself. And I think one of the ways in which that showed to me was, you know what, I just kind of valued who I was. I would just leave nights out. We've talked about that before. So there is this big thing of me that wants to fit in, but also there is this part of me
That's always honoured
also
who you are.
honours who I am. Like, I get to as a young girl, I never saw New Year's Eve because if I was tired, I even did it as an adult when you were kids. I've seen me go to bed because I just don't want to do it.
We went to bed this year.
Yeah, I just don't
we were
want to
just
do
tired.
it.
We've got a toddler.
Yeah,
but he's going to be up at 6 a.m. no matter what.
But I'm not talking about. I'm talking about as well, though.
Yeah,
for me, you guys all being older and dead excited to do the thing with the neighbours and all of that kind of thing, and I was in bed. I saw New Year in, and I was like, no, I'm done. I don't want to sit around all of that. This is who I am. Like, I'm going to sleep because I'm tired and I don't function well when I'm not. So, I think I've been that person, but then the wanting to copy and just observing. And the other thing I was going to say is about clothes for me. I can see a point where even now it's hilarious, that whole kind of wanting to fit in and be seen. I can watch it happen in my head, and I'm doing it. If you're listening to this, there's almost like because I can see my thoughts happening. Like I observe it, and I'm like, this little part of me that's like, oh, maybe we should wear that. Maybe we should buy that outfit. Maybe we should look like this. And there's a part of me that goes, no. What do I want to wear? What do I?
Oh, as in, so you see how other people dress, and you think, well, if I dress like them. I see. Yeah.
I think this goes, I mean, we could go really deep on this because there's so much about this, about the way that I look, the way that, and you said there about being too loud, so as a kid, I hilariously going back and looking at reports, which I am that mother that has kept her own and her children's, but looking at them, and I was always too chatty, and I worked hard and I did really well-ish at times, but also that I was too chatty. I don't know that I think one of the things that I've always admired about you, and I do admire it, is that you say what you need to say, and I would suggest that I am the opposite. So, I think it's quite fascinating when you start looking at it and exploring it a little bit more. The quote for me that just blew my mind and is the Brene Brown one, which was that the opposite of belonging is fitting in.
Yeah.
And
chopping bits of yourself off to fit a specific shape.
Well, square peg round hole. It's that, they're great quotes for a reason. they've stood the test of time for a reason.
Yeah.
Because actually that is it, isn't it? It's like how often do we, hide parts of ourselves or change things so that we fit in with the people around us, what we wear, how we speak, what we do.
Yeah, there have been definite friendships of mine, and logistically now I'm looking back and it wasn't a friendship from me or from them really, because I was not the person, I wasn't me, so who the fuck were they friends with? But like I vividly remember like coming home and literally, you know that feeling after a long day and you take your bra off and you're like, oh
yeah,
that's the best. That, but like with my face. So like I'd literally come home and like my face would hurt from holding it specific ways. Like, or I'd come home and I'd just be like, oh, say that. And it's not because I said anything embarrassing, but it's just because I didn't stick up for someone who deserved to be stuck up for. Like my sense of justice is pretty fucking deep. And like, I'm, my black and white thinking is blurring in terms of, as a human, I've kind of realised that just because I think it's right doesn't mean that someone else has to think it's right with certain things. But in terms of justice, like, I believe people deserve respect and basic humanity. So seeing what's going on in the world right now, I find really, really hard. Not to center myself because I'm not the person dealing with it, but I find it really hard because I'm like, I don't understand why nobody's just saying this is wrong, fucking stop it. Like, I don't get it. Like, what's more important? But anyway, obviously other people's brains don't necessarily work like mine do.
Obviously. Let's not turn this into a conversation about that, because I reckon we could.
Yeah. But it is that, taking my mask off, like physically. I remember reading recently someone being like, oh, masking isn't like where you actually take your mask off. And I was like, don't speak for everybody, because for me it is. Like, I can physically feel my face changing. Like, I can feel the way I talk, like how confident I feel to say what I think. And like, I have been around friends where fearing saying things because I'm going to be shamed for it or whatever, and realizing that that just isn't the kind of friendship that I want. Like, disagreeing with people, completely fine. Having a different opinion to me, completely fine. Subtly calling me out with other people and being like, no, I'm not 12, and I'm not gonna allow myself to be put back into that box, because that's what happens when I'm around people like that, you know. And I just, when you were talking, this question kept coming up to me where I was like, you know, the opposite of belonging is fitting in. Do you believe it's possible for everyone to be completely and utterly themselves and everyone feel like they've got a space in the world?
I'm not, no, because I don't believe in black and white. So I think we can get more towards it, and I think with certain people you can. But I also think sometimes masking is it's useful, because you don't always walk into spaces where you feel safe, and you don't always know that you can trust people. So initially it can help, and then as you begin to know people and create relationships with them, for me it's about how it can change that.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because I wouldn't see that as masking.
I think you hide parts of yourself with people when you don't know them.
I'm not sure I see it. I definitely am a different person with people I've just met than people who I've known for a long time. But my experience of unmasking is everything changing. So like going from this person who's quiet, subdued, like all of this kind of stuff, and becoming this person who's like who I am. Whereas in that situation, I would be reserved in a new situation, but I would still honour myself. If I wasn't, I would still want to be the kind of person who I still said what I thought. I'm still gonna. I'm like, I might not do it as loudly, as brashly, as, you know. I might kind of
So
just
you mute it a
observe.
little bit.
Yeah, so it's not that I'm covering it. I'm not changing it. I'm just holding it back a little bit, but more out of respect for the other person, because I want to find out if they're the kind of person who can take me as my full self. And I don't mean that as in like, well, do I need to be smaller for them? But it's like, I can be quite abrasive to some people. I know that I can be quite abrasive to some people, because I'm not the kind of person who I just can't bullshit. Like, I have to say what I think generally, and people can find that really hard. So I'll sometimes hold that back to ascertain whether someone can manage that, because I'm aware that my actions have consequences, and that me acting brashly, yes, it's honouring who I am. But if you're the kind of person who's really struggled, maybe you've grown up in a house where confrontation's rife or whatever, I don't want to put you in that position. So I don't see that as masking. I don't know. Maybe it's because there's a nuance in it.
Yeah, because I think it's not a black and white thing. It's interesting because when you were saying that there, I was thinking, oh, I'm possibly quite opposite, which is where, because the whole bit about, for me, it's like these words blur, pretending, performing, you know, masking,
Yeah.
kind of all kind of describe for me, you know, situations where I've presented to the world something that is not a true reflection of what's going on for me inside. And,
yes.
And there's a word that I used to love. I haven't used it for a long time, and actually it's just popped in my head when I did the counselling degree, and that is congruence. And congruence is this matching. So what's on the outside is what's on the inside.
We've talked about that a lot before.
And I think sometimes in society, it isn't always. I think you can, like 99%, you can get to the point where you are being congruent with everything. But do I think it's a black and white thing? I don't. I think it's definitely the shades of grey. With that, I think it depends on external factors sometimes. I think that's what we're working towards, isn't it? This congruence where the inside match the outside. And the reason that when I was saying about the masking, and maybe why I was thinking not all the time, was that whole bit about going into new situations, kind of finding out about other people. So there's almost like you're saying that nuance to it, to keep you safe. And you're very conscious of keeping the other person safe as well, and aware of them. And how they might be. So yeah, it was just, I guess that's where I was at with that.
I suppose the question for me is, like, what does the level of masking or performing or whatever it is look like? Because it's, so for example, if I go into a situation, let's say, because there's a woman, there's a woman who walks past my house with her dog, and I have two really big dogs, and she has a teeny tiny little dog, and it's really cute, and I'm gonna steal it. I'm not, but I want to. And we stop and chat a lot, and I have this thing in my head where I really want to put my name on it and my number on a piece of paper, and the next time I go past her, I want to give her it and be like, "Do you want to meet for a coffee?" Because we just get on, and I don't even know her name, and I would like to be friends with her, and I want to give her. I know she works from home because we've chatted a bit about it before, and I want to give her my name and number and be like, "Should we have a coffee sometime?" I've told you about it before.
You have,
but I haven't done it.
So what stops you?
I just forget to take my name and number out.
Oh.
And I've only bumped into her once, and Arlo had ridden off on his bike, and I was like, "I'm so sorry, I can't stop a chat because I'm chasing that." But let's say that me and her get into a situation and we're chatting. So I think for me, the level of masking is deeper, because I haven't just been quieter or just been less opinionated. I've completely shifted who I am for other people. Like, agreed with things that I just don't agree with, talked about things that I'm not comfortable talking about, like, become this person who, like, I watch and I'm like, "Oh no, oh, who's that?" And I wouldn't want to do that in this situation, because what happens is I don't want to come into a new situation with a new person, because in the past what's happened is I've made friends with people based on this mask that I've put on. Maybe I've reflected who they are, often is what it is. Like, I've mirrored them back to themselves, which is often why I'll get, and I have from a lot of different people, that like, "Oh my gosh, it's like we're soulmates" thing. And it's like, oh, we're not. You just think that because I'm masking and I'm pretending to be you. And I don't purposefully do it. I'm not trying to be manipulative. It's a safety thing. But I mirror people's actions, their behaviours, their voice. Like, if you're from Liverpool and you spend 10 minutes with me, I am sorry. Because I will talk like you, and it is not on purpose. But do you know what I mean? Like, I'll do that. But then it feels unfair when I'm comfortable a couple of months down the line.
And now you want to bring
And now I want to bring me out.
It's about protection, isn't it?
Yeah. Because
that's what your brain does. It's about protecting you.
But it's actually doing the opposite. Because if I was just myself from the beginning, in the beginning.
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? We're going to survival mode, we're going to protection. We think we need to morph into something else. But actually, I think it goes back to Gabor Maté's point about authenticity and attachment. And the fact that these are the two essences that, I love it, that we're born with, that he says. And then that, you know, so you think about Arlo as a little boy, like as a baby. Like, he didn't ask, was it okay to have a tantrum? He doesn't ask if it's okay, or he doesn't look at you and think, I wonder if it's okay to have a tantrum around these people. He just, like, he has a meltdown. Or he cries when he wants things, and he just tells you what he needs. Because that's what authenticity is. It's expressing our emotions. It's asking for what we need, you know, and being able to get it. It's about building those relationships. It's ultimately about building that empathy, isn't it? It's all of that builds in us, and being able to have that full range of emotional diversity and understand how to use it ultimately, which we don't get taught, which is what I'm passionate about. But it's this whole thing, and what happens is, you know, we see these caregivers, so it's not just parents, it's whoever our caregivers are, the main caregivers. That we're the longest mammal. We need the longest amount of time to be looked after of anything that exists on this earth, and that means then that we have to be cared for longer, and that it's more risky. So we start to hide these parts of us because we don't want to risk the relationship with that other person. That's where it goes. So, you know, when you think about what you're doing, you don't want to risk a relationship. You don't want to risk, because ultimately, what's the risk? I am going to be rejected. I am going to be isolated. You know, it does come back to what we were talking about at the beginning, which is this fear of being outcast, you know, not wanted, accepted, loved, belonging, all of that. So we morph into this way of being with these people. And yet what I do think we reach a point in our lives where we suddenly do not want to put this, like we see it. For me, it was my mid-30s, and it was going to counselling. And I suddenly started to see it. But I think a part of that, I'm going to tell you now, was because I started to accept who I was.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was literally like, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Because the risk, thinking there's a risk coming from being yourself comes from being rejected as yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it comes from. So the first time you're rejected from being yourself as a kid, or maybe your parents are not emotionally available, or whatever that looks like, that rejection that
It could be one sentence that somebody says to you, and it's so interesting, isn't it? Because there's this big thing about the fact that actually we do remember these things, and they don't leave us. I know I can see in your face. You'll have little snippets of conversations with one person, and God love them, in the bigger picture. You know, like, and they were possibly even forgotten and didn't mean it intentionally like that, but because of where we are and how poised we can be for threat and all of that, and it's all about survival, we will do anything that we need to do to be able to survive.
Yeah.
So we create these patterns. That's ultimately what happens to us, isn't it? And then you're right, we live them out.
Yeah.
We live them out until we hit a point where you're like, no. no.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And it is exhausting, and it is interesting, isn't it? Because I think you hit a point as well where you realise that the risk is different. Because for me, the risk of rejection right now, it means far less to me than the risk of losing who I am.
That's the point. I think it tips.
Yeah, like I've just hit this point where I'm like, do you know what? I would rather not have some of the friendships that have sustained me, and I've got some incredible friendships with people who. Like those friends that you don't speak to for months and years at a time, and then it's like you've never left the room.
Them yesterday.
Yeah, like it's just amazing. I do have some incredible friendships, but then other friendships where it is that it's like, do you know what? I'd rather be on my own for that period of time that I would have been with them, and be exploring something that I love. Maybe it's painting, embroidery. Maybe it's just reading. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sat scrolling on my phone. Maybe I'm working. It doesn't matter. Being myself, then being in these situations with people where I'm pretending to be something I'm not. Like I think that's where I'm just getting to, where I'm just like, ugh. Like it just gives me the ick, the thought of being something I'm not. And it is like, it's riding into my business, because like I'll write something, I'll see something and be inspired, right? So this happened to me, was it yesterday or the day before? I saw a reel and I thought, I want to recreate that. Like that's a cool reel. And I remade it. And I was watching it before I pressed post, and I was like, I didn't press post, and I was watching it, and I was like watching it, and I was like, nah, this isn't me. Like it's a cool reel, and it probably would have got a good, response and stuff, but I was like, it just isn't me. And it was like there was something in me going, no, wait, don't do it, and my content's fucking cringe. Like a lot of my content, I don't have makeup on, my hair's a mess. Like I don't like it is, whether you notice it or not. No. Like a lot of my content, I don't like wear makeup. I just don't really care. But none of that bothers me. But
my face was because you called it cringe. Just so you know.
Oh,
that was my face. It isn't.
I'm
cringe.
excited. I've got a reel coming out tomorrow, and it's really cute, and it is cringe. Or you might think it's cringe if you're not someone who's just like, I don't care. Because I don't care. Like if someone else thinks I'm cringe, then they're not the person. They're not the person that I want to invite to my main event. Like that, and I just think as a human this works too. Like we can't constantly live in our own homes. Like when we talk about you are your own home. Like we do go out and explore other people,
of course we
and
do,
we go and spend time with other people and all that kind of thing.
Well, who's in your neighbourhood?
Yeah, like
but you get to choose who's in your neighbourhood.
Yeah, we talk about community. That's it, and it's like, how many of us are not living the life that we really want to lead because we think we have to stick with what we've got?
Can I share something about a client?
Yeah,
obviously very anonymously. So this person. Just recently, in fact, it's not just one person, but more than one person has said to me they've had this realization that not everybody else is perfect, which now means that there isn't something wrong with them. Yes. And I've just adored it. And this person, so we've been doing some leadership stuff, which has been amazing. And just watching them share when we did this final reflection session, what a difference it's made, that this criticism that they had about themselves now, and the way that the work we've done together has impacted their relationships, and not just in work, outside of work, how they see themselves differently as a leader, how they're excited about this team. And actually it's because they're not afraid to say what matters to them. And this whole bit about, you know, they can see this part of them, and they were talking about it like, you know, I can see if I could go back to me at the beginning of all of this, the me that was striving, and even 10 years ago that thought I needed to be something to, you know, and I had to be like everybody else was, and all of this, and suddenly they're like, I don't do it. It's like, and actually I can create my own version of what life looks like for me, and I've got this choice, and you know, I don't need to fit in as such. I want to get on with people, and but I can do that because I respect myself now, so I know what respect looks like for them. But you know, that whole
and
dynamic,
self-compassion breeds compassion.
That's it. So like, actually this way that they, you know, they want to bring this playful side, and that's part of what they're doing more, because they're a playful person.
Yeah.
You know, but we shut that down. It goes back to a conversation I had with somebody a few years ago where we were talking about how you end an email. And it was like, you know, like
Sayonara.
You have to be a certain you have to be a certain way. And yet there's more than one way to do a lot of things, and it's, you know, it's, I've angsted over what I write in an email, I've angsted over how the other person's going to receive it, instead of actually, who am I?
What do I actually just want to say?
And you know, and this is not about being unprofessional, but that's, I also that
we'll talk about that.
What about
professional?
What is professional? So it's, you know, learning the skills to do a profession, which is a job or a skill. It doesn't have all of these nuanced bits towards it. Need to write a certain way, need to wear certain clothes, need to be blah, need to be, sorry, it does my head in.
I don't know if you can tell, but she's got feels.
Because it's like,
how much
back,
does
one
shut
size
you down?
does not fit all.
Yeah.
And it is that whole part about how actually, you know, being able to be more me.
Yeah.
And why I'm so passionate about it is I have known about myself for quite a long time. I have a massive emotional range of diversity. Like I feel the feels. This has always been me, you know, and it is something that I'm definitely exploring around the neurodivergence. I am somebody, well, many people have often called me too sensitive, too emotional, all of that. And yet that is one of the biggest things that led to burnout for me in my mid-30s. And I would like to say at 50, is because I hid how I was feeling. So I masked, you know, the actual depth of emotion, what I needed, because I wanted to fit in, because actually I didn't want to cause disruption. I didn't want to cause discomfort for other people. But actually it's that, isn't it? Because actually what I did then was cause me the discomfort. And I didn't know any of this, and I do know this now. And it's like, but that I am someone that cries. I do believe that tears have a purpose. Why would I have tear ducts if they don't have a purpose? I don't know why I'm getting so emotional now, but I am. You can feel it, and but it
also
is
like,
yes,
all of the science says that too. So the logical people don't have the logic to back that up. Like, crying's fine. I find that I struggle sometimes. I think because I'd spent so long not doing it, then I find it hard to let it out sometimes.
But there it is.
But that's it, isn't it? It's like, that's the masking. Anyway, so yes, it turns out we did have a lot to talk about when it talks about pretending to be something.
Yeah, we
you're
weren't
not.
sure. But also, can I say something else about this? Because I think this is really important to me. One of the things that I have learned, and I obviously I do social media. I'm quite a private person. It feels contradictory to me sometimes to be out there when actually I am quite private.
Yeah.
And I don't very often, because of when I did the counselling and what that did for me in the journey that I went on, you know, I'm not hugely, I am opinionated, of course I have opinions, but this is where we do differ. And sometimes I love the fact that you kind of stand up for the pair of us, because I'll say something to you quietly and you're like, right. And you will now be the one that has that voice and will say, it doesn't mean I don't have a voice. It doesn't mean, I just do things differently. And I've often tussled with that. And I'm excited about the main event, because we're going to go and I've got quite a bit of mine. Mine is Glastonbury with a PhD in heart. Which sounds ridiculous, but actually once I started to do it, it just felt like this is who I am. Campfires and stories and connection and just, you know, I can feel that. Just, it is that. It's about acceptance, but I think this is because it's been my journey for me, and that it's taken me longer to do that.
I just think it's so powerful to see it, and then all of a sudden everything just like falls into place, because it's like,
who am I?
Because then all of a sudden, like, it releases you from so much shit, right? Because when you decide that this is the way that you want to show up, and you're like, because it wouldn't make sense to be something different. It wouldn't make sense for you to have this event, this campfire, calm, come home to yourself event, right? And then stand on stage in a fucking glittery dress and shout about your opinions. That wouldn't make sense, because that's not the event that you're inviting people to. So then all of a sudden you get to be released from that. You get to be released from this, like, you don't have to be the person with these really strong opinions. You don't have to be that.
It's just
whew.
it's that, and I do, because obviously I do have strong opinion. I mean, I've just got really passionate about something, but also I think
in your space and
in my
your time.
and in my way.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you were talking about it, and I was like, you know, I'd like to kind of be on stage, but on a chair, sat on a chair, and it'd be a bit more relaxed. And it's
mine was more like a. If it was a slightly raised platform, but only for the fact that people can see me.
Yeah, you do.
Like, I don't actually want to be on a different level to anybody, and I want it to be like, you know, like a panel, where it's more like a conversation.
Yes. If somebody's watching, I'm sorry, I did just have a moment because I've just seen something in my head. I'm so sorry, Lauren. I didn't mean to be rude with that, but yes, like, so yours is a panel. Do you know what I want? In the round. So I want to be in I want it to be in the circle.
Yeah.
And the conversation happening and
it's
people
flowing
around us,
and
it's like and people,
and everyone
just,
can be
it's
heard.
That,
yeah.
And it is that in the midst of it, and just, yeah, there's something about that for me.
And that's marketing. That's it, right? Because we have this, we'll pull this to a close after this, I promise. But we have this thing as humans, and right, everything is marketing. Everything is marketing. Trying to convince your husband to go somewhere specific on holiday is marketing. Like, every time we're inviting someone to change their perspective or move or shift, it's marketing. That's what we're doing. So everybody does it naturally. And in our businesses, it's exactly why stories work. And in our businesses, we have been convinced, and it's definitely white men who've done it for money, right? Have convinced us that the only way to market is to spend shit tons of money on adverts, and to go in with shame-based marketing and fear-based marketing. Like, the only way that you're going to hit 1 million is if you do this. The only way that and it freaks people out, and then fear drives it, right? So then we buy out of fear, and we buy from this need, because we're like, well, we have to fit in, because if we don't fit in, then this is what drives it, right? And I'm like, whoa, no. I draw my line in the sand. I am sick of that kind of marketing. I'm sick of being smacked with it. I'm sick of being part of it. I've done it before because that's what felt like I had to do, and I don't want to do it anymore. Marketing isn't that. Marketing is, let me show you what's possible and let me invite you in. That's it. And that can be done in whatever way, because if you're the kind of person who runs a business that is high energy and massive, then maybe the way that I show you is through fucking trumpets and sparklers, and then I invite you in, and my invitation's this massive grand thing. If you're the kind of person who is very, very, very quiet and only works with a very small number of people, maybe your invitation is much smaller and quieter. Maybe you invite people in and those people come in.
Do you know what I was just saying in my head there? I was just saying Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
And my invitations are just the beautiful calligraphy.
Like Bridgerton.
But it is...
Dearest readers.
Dearest readers. But there's something about that for me.
Yeah.
Because, do you know, a story popped into my head there about a client who... I remember them saying to me, because, you know, often when people are talking about their goals and their dreams and what they would love, what this client really wanted was to be able to do her own dishes, put her own washing out, have tea with her family, make the tea, you know, have that time and that connection. And this role that they were doing didn't give them that.
Yeah.
Was what they felt. And yet what we were able to do was work together to look at how could they get what they really wanted and desired while still being able to work. And it was that, you know, to be able to get this quality of life that this just meant the most to them. And this vision of this person looking out and seeing their washing on their line, and, you know, just that they felt part of being at home,
part
and
of
not
life.
always away
That's
from
what the
that.
life they wanted to be part of.
That's what I do. And I realise this, it is the maybe the quieter, you know, that's who I am. And I have both. Don't I?
I have this image in my head of you just like, it's the head cock. And it's because you're listening. Like, that, that's what you bring to people, is to listen. Like, and I don't think people see the power in it, of what you do. Like the fact that you, even growing up, like I remember all my friends being like, "Will your mum adopt me?" And I was like, "Why?"
But enough rooms.
But it's because you listen. It's because that they felt heard when they were with you, and they could say things and do things, and they wouldn't be judged for it. They'd be validated for it, and they'd be heard. And that's what that person needed, isn't it? Just to say it, like, and for you to be able to pull it out and go, "This is what it looks like."
I think this is why this whole thing about attunement, about co-regulation, about, the more I've learned about it, the more I realise the power of that. And actually, in a previous podcast, we were talking about living together. And one of the things that you said is that you feel really safe and grounded with us, and particularly with me. And that's been such a massive thing, is that, and I know it's because I have this image in my head of having a USB point, and we've talked about it.
There's
before.
a guy
You've
did the
drawn
talk,
it,
didn't he?
Yeah, Thomas Hubel.
There you go.
Hopefully I'm saying his name right. He really just blew me away. He was talking about attunement.
Yeah, plugging in with someone.
And this vision he had of this heart, and actually how we plug into each other's hearts.
Yeah.
Because self-regulation comes from co-regulation. We cannot live in isolation.
Yes, if you were never taught and given the space to co-regulate, no wonder you find it hard to self-regulate.
Yeah, exactly. If you weren't shown it,
of course.
So actually, and what we mean by that is being able to sit with somebody and allow their feelings.
Yeah.
Being shown that your feelings are valid, that somebody trusts and is listening to your story.
And they're not just trying to fix it. They're not trying to shut it down. They're not uncomfortable.
It's all
just
that.
I'm just here for it.
Yeah, and they're listening. And what happens then is, through them though, being able to regulate through that, you now begin to regulate. So it's like you plug into each other. Yeah. And this idea, and that's me. I think this is me. I feel like it's this. And sometimes I've had this persona where I am the loud and the party one, and sometimes I am, and I love to bring the fun, and I'm playful, and I'm quiet, and I'm reflective, and I'm deep, because that's me. Like, when you meet me, I like to go straight in.
Yeah, I'm not a surface.
I had a person that I hadn't long met, and we were having coffee, and I remember them saying, we must have chatted for hours, but I remember them saying at one point, "My God, when did that get so deep?" And I almost wanted to apologise. That's it, to apologise for it.
I'm sorry.
Because I feel like I want to apologise for being who I am. I feel like I want to apologise, and I don't,
and
because I'm not.
Can I just be very clear? Yeah. Being deep is different to trauma dumping.
Oh yeah.
Which is something I used to do.
Yeah, we would.
Like, out of just pure fear.
Yeah,
I used to just trauma dump people.
Yeah, but that's
different.
That's because there was a need in you, Lauren, to be listened to.
Yeah.
And also you needed to process that, and that's why I genuinely believe that counselling and therapy and coaching are such important parts of what happens. And of course I would say that because that's what I do. The thing is though, that we need a damn good listening to. Yeah, but that's the reason I'm in this.
That is it.
And actually it probably comes from the fact that that's what I needed.
Yes. Yes. Oh, there's so much. Honestly, I can hear there's like 25 new threads of thought that I'm like, we can explore this. And I'm like, no.
Today.
This was beautiful. It was lovely, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Because it is something, and I see it in lots of people I work with, and you see it with lots of people you work with. We're both recognising ourselves. But I would just like to invite anyone listening to consider, if there was no risk, and there is always a risk, but if there was no risk, what would you want today? And is there a way that you can introduce that?
How would you want to show up?
Like, is it that you want... Because I this week, said to myself, how do I want to show up? And it was like, actually, I wanted to be listening. I don't know what it was about that word. I wanted to be just taking in. So it was, and that showed up in my business, and it showed up with my son and my husband. And I just, it's been a big week of asking questions and
exploring.
Not pushing myself and my ideas out there first. And I don't know why that happened, but it's actually been a really nice week from it. How do you want to show up? So one of the things for me is, at the minute, I don't want to watch Netflix. I hate that. Like, not specifically Netflix, but when you just get in on a night and there's that habit of you knock the TV on and then you sit there for 2 hours and then you go to bed. Just bored of it. So it's like, what else do I want to do?
Yeah, what is it for me, isn't it? It's that. Yeah. And I guess the thing...
That's the invitation from me to everyone.
Well, the invitation for me is also to explore in what way has the fitting in
Served
protected you. And I think it's that. How has it served you?
Yeah, it's not a shameful thing. It's not
in the slightest.
It's not take your mask off.
Yeah, it's not. No, because
None
actually,
of that.
I want to go back to what I said earlier, which was sometimes putting a mask on is safer.
Yeah.
And I think it's that, isn't it? It's understanding
shame.
how come we behave in certain ways, and that can, be neurodivergence. It can be because of situations. It can be a lot of things.
And it can be a privilege to be able to unmask, especially if you're living in an area that or that's really dangerous, or if you're living with someone who's dangerous, or whatever it is, and you have to for safety. Like, not. I guess that's it, isn't it? None of this is black and white.
No. Oh, what a place to end.
I love that we ended that on a really nice note, and then we both just dropped a cackle in. Anyway, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm looking forward to next week already.
Yeah, and please, we always love your comments. We always
let us
love
know.
comments, what your thoughts are, and any conversations that you'd like us to have.
Yeah, tell us if you've watched anything that you're like, oh, I think they'd love to talk about this, because I'd love to be like, we went away and watched it, and then I love that.
Actually, on that note,
listen to it. Books,
any books that
podcasts.
you've read, any other podcasts and conversations that they've had, a
blogs.
reel that you might just see.
Yeah,
that you're
send
like,
us
that.
them.
Yeah,
Send us. Just converse with us.
Yeah.
We love to hear
Anyway,
from you.
thank you.
Bye.